This is Neutral Ice.
By day, he's a house pet. When the sun goes down, it's time to hit the streets.
Nick Lippa
Is a cat burglar.
Buffalo's best hockey show every Monday night.
Neighbors like 5-year-old
Joe DiBiase,
know him by his alias.
Brayton Wilson,
Neighbors are on guard, but his victims don't intend to file police reports. They go to
Chris Kowalchuk, and Derek Kramer.
In the past 3 years, they figure he's stolen about 600 items, and he's not choosy. He'll take anything that's not locked down. He especially likes bathing suits drying outside. He stole
Franca Curies.
Bikini Bottom.
Now, here are your hosts, Nick Lippa and Jack Sullivan.
It's getting dark now. The question is, which house? It's a perfect night for a heist.
On Buffalo's original alternative, 91.3 FM, WBNY.
91.3 FM WBNY Buffalo, Buffalo's original alternative since 1982, brought to you by the Buffalo State College Student Activity Fee. I'm a cat burglar. I don't know how I feel about that. Sometimes
congratulations.
Sometimes if Wishbone taught me anything, it's that you learn something new every day. I'm Nick Lippa here with Brayton Wilson, Chris Kowalchuk, and Frank Arcuri. Here, we're doing it up. Boys, how we doing?
Pretty good.
Not
bad.
Not bad.
It was a news eventful day for me.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to lead off the show with.
Well, congratulations.
That's right. Well, right now, just summing up the playoff series right now, Chicago's up on the Wild 2-0. The Ducks up on Calgary 2-0. The Canadians down 0-2 to the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have looked very good. And the Rangers and Caps are playing by far the most entertaining series of playoff hockey in the second round. That being said, we're starting off the show. Shero named GM of the Devils. Lamoriello still president. So, Chris, why don't you inform us about that?
So the Devils hired Ray Shero, I believe his name is, right? Right.
You are so informed, it's not even funny.
Yeah. Well, they hired him as the GM today. He took Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin teams to about as far as the second round for 5 years in a row. I don't know if you fully blame that on him or not, but I'm excited that the Devils are finally starting to go in a new direction, and hopefully it's good things to come in the future.
Yeah, he was named, by the way, the year before he was fired, the GM of the year, which is kind of funny thinking about it, that, you know, one year he's GM of the year, the next year they're like, well, you're done. You're fired. So interesting to see him back in the game, but obviously he's had success recently as viewed on by the league. He's won a Stanley Cup. He's been a GM for 8 seasons and a VP. So there's a lot to like if you're a New Jersey Devils fan right now.
And he's also landed some trades that were favorable for the Pens in those Stanley Cup runs, and even I just want to be back in the playoffs again. That's where I want to start with.
Lamoriello, 28 seasons.
1987.
As president, GM, and 3 cups during his tenure, 5 Eastern Conference titles, and 9 division titles. 21 out of the 28 years they were in the playoffs. Yeah, so 75% of the time the Devils were in the playoffs under his reign. Really impressive. Obviously with some help from guys like Marty Brodeur, but those teams that won cups in the early 2000s, those were really well-built teams. Right,
and they were built from the back out. So you had obviously Brodeur in net, and then you had guys like Niedermeyer, Danico, Stevens, a young Colin White, guys like Paul Martin. That might have been a little after that, but all these big defensive guys that are basically enshrined in Devils history now, and all the Devils had to do was score on any given night, and they had a chance to win. And it's not really like that anymore. They've got young defensemen they're still developing. They have a great goaltender. They just don't have anyone that can put the puck in the net, and that's what I want to see Shero do, is go out and get a goal scorer.
And we're going to see about that because, again, if you talk about the goal scoring, Chris, who on the Devils really was an offensive presence this year?
I mean, Mike Camilleri led the team in goals with 27. No one else even eclipsed the 20-goal mark. Henrique was second on the team in points. I mean, Jágr was there at the beginning, but right before Jágr left, he was on an 8-game goalless drought. I like the development of Jacob Josephson this year. If you can get him a winger, or if you can get him a couple of wingers, which is obviously not the easiest task, I think that's signs of good things to come for him. But yeah, I think that the Devils are okay down the middle. I think they need another top center.
So, guys, let's open this up to everybody else. You are now Ray Shero. You come into the situation, you look at your team, you go, okay, I have a franchise goaltender, arguably a top 5 goaltender in the NHL in Corey Schneider. You have some very good defensive pieces, and you have a couple of centers to work with. What do you do heading into the offseason to make this team a playoff contender?
Go out and get some goal scoring, get some more goal scoring.
Who comes to mind?
Well, the first person that comes to mind, I mean, you can look first at the draft, and the first person that I would look to if he's available at number 6 for the Devils is Mitch Marner. That's a huge upgrade over everybody else on the team because Marner can actually score goals. Is Marner ready for the NHL? I don't know. He's very small. He could definitely build his size a little bit more, but the fact is that you need to get goal scoring. Having guys on second line, third line, fourth line that can't score. I mean, you were second in the league in shots per game and goals again. Like for goals for, you're right down there at the bottom of the league. You got to get more goal scoring. You got to get more guys that are willing to throw the puck at the net than Mike Camilleri, Adam Henrique.
I could see them trading for a guy like St. Louis is obviously going to have to clear cap space. I could see them trying to trade for a guy like TJ Oshie. I don't necessarily know if I would give up my first-round pick for TJ Oshie, though.
No, I would not give up your first-round pick. You're picking 6th overall. Marner's a guy who could be a perennial all-star on a team potentially. I mean, unless they like Krause for some reason in that case.
That's like worst-case scenario for me. What do you think it would take to get a guy like Oshie?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm thinking you're going to need a prospect and a second-round pick.
I think that's fair. Give up a defensive prospect.
The Blues are going to require a lot for TJ Oshie.
Right.
They will ask probably for a first-round pick. That's my guess because they don't have one this year in the first round. So if they want to get into the first round, that's a great starting point right there.
Nobody's going to give a first rounder up though this year in the first round.
No,
especially from maybe on the back end.
Yeah, maybe late first round. I mean, if a team is willing to give up their first round pick, I mean, there's teams that have 2 second-round picks this year. Let's say that TJ Oshie and the Flyers want to make a deal because the Flyers have Tampa Bay's first rounder this year, and that'll probably be later on in the first round. So if the Flyers are saying, "Oh, okay, well we want TJ Oshie, how about first round pick and later on in the first round?" And I'm sure the Blues would probably be like, "Okay, sure, let's start there and let's start talking."
Well, this afternoon when sorry to change it up a little bit, when I first heard there was going to be a conference call at 4 p.m. for the Devils, I thought they were actually going to be naming Brodeur the general manager, which would not have surprised me. And it still wouldn't surprise me if they brought him along to do something in the front office. Would that surprise any of you?
No, he's a lifelong Devil.
No, I think that Marty Brodeur is definitely going to fit into the future of the Devils management at some point.
Could you see him potentially coaching?
I don't know about
not
that.
This season.
Definitely not this season. I think he wants a season off.
Right.
But that's another question is where the Devils go with head coach.
Do we have the quest for Babcock?
I don't think they're in that.
I don't think the Devils are either.
The quest for Babcock.
I think. I mean, I really don't know anymore because knowing Lamoriello would have gone with a guy from the inside. That's just how he does it. But now with Shero stepping in, I don't know what he's going to do by way of this. Could you see potentially Bylsma?
I was just about to say, what about Bylsma coming over?
Would not be surprised.
Shero originally had hired him to coach the Pittsburgh Penguins. Always a guy that could also come in and coach. He has a great goaltender coach, work with Corey Schneider. But Bylsma is a guy that it makes a lot of sense if you think about where Shero's coming. And a lot of GMs, they like their guys. They like their boys. So that's one of the questions for the Sabres right now.
Were they fired together?
Yes. Well, Bylsma was first, then
Shero.
No, wait. Shero was first. Shero was fired first. Then Rutherford came in, made the decision to fire Bylsma.
Yeah. Right. So that would not surprise me. That could be something that's good for New Jersey. But again, New Jersey desperately needs goal scorers.
Right. That's where we sit right now. We need if they were just to get a guy like Oshie, I wouldn't want to give up my first-round pick, especially with all the talent that's in this draft.
You know, I come from the boat. I believe that Oshie, as good as he is on the shootout, I feel he's a little overrated. But we'll see. The Devils have a lot of places to go.
They've got a lot of work to do.
If you're talking about they are. I want to almost say they're almost in the same boat the Sabres are going to be next year as far as coming back to compete. They may be in worse condition because the Sabres have guys like Eichel and Kane coming up with the defensive prospects, where the Devils, they don't really have that youth on offense where you're going like, okay, 3 years from now I feel really good where the Devils will be from. You're like, okay, defensively at the back end works good. And that's the benefit for the Devils right now. They're built in a different way. That back end is a guy like Severson, and Larson and Schneider. You got guys back on defense. That's a good start, and we're gonna see what happens. But I don't know. Maybe you go after a guy like St. Louis or something else that happens in free agency. Somebody comes loose that you didn't think was going to come loose in free agency, and you make a play.
The most likely player they'll go after with the style of signings that they make are Justin Williams, somebody like that.
Well, remember, this is a new GM. This is a new era.
I could see them going after Carl Soderberg.
I could see. I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good sign. But I mean, they want to go after some guys. Again, they'd probably like to go after some guys that can score. And I mean,
let me ask you a question. You're the New Jersey Devils. Do you make an offer for Tarasenko?
No.
You have the cap room.
You have the cap room. Maybe you have the youth on defense, and you have the goaltender.
They still have to give up a lot.
Devils, or not the Devils, the Blues made it clear today that Doug Armstrong made it clear that their top priority is getting Tarasenko re-signed.
Oh, I know.
Every other signing that they're going to do is going to be put off until Tarasenko is quote-unquote taken care of.
And that's where you have to be if you're St. Louis. That's your future. That's your guy.
Yeah.
But that's also the beauty of being a team like from the outside, being, hey, how can I make this team's hell a nightmare right now?
Their other assets become A, more attainable, and B, more valuable. Well, I don't know if they're necessarily more valuable, but they're definitely more attainable, the forwards at least.
If you could force the Blues to sign Tarasenko maybe for a little bit more money than they originally would have with an offer sheet, which could potentially happen, you could then potentially work a deal to get somebody else.
Right.
Or you could just have Tarasenko and be really happy. So
yeah, I think this change, the Devils being good again, isn't going to happen overnight, and I don't expect it to happen over the course of one or possibly even 2 seasons. But when you have a guy like Corey Schneider in net, I mean, anything's in like the realm of possibilities.
There were games this year where the Devils were being outshot like close to what the Sabres were.
The Devils got outshot by Edmonton a few times. I'm pretty sure they got outshot by the Sabres at least once.
Which is shocking. But Corey Schneider played terrific. If Corey Schneider was not in net for the Devils, they may have been a bottom 3 team this year.
Yep.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They were really, really bad. It was tough to watch. I mean, it's always tough to watch for outsiders, but especially for me, who watches every game, it was really tough to watch.
So we're going to see where the Devils go with it. Again, goal scoring, specifically on the wings, that's what you're looking for. However, there could be some guys that come free. I don't see anybody from the 6th spot that comes in right now immediately day one in place for the New Jersey Devils.
Well, I could see if Marner gets drafted.
I'm just not sure he's big enough to play day one. I think maybe he's a year away.
To be honest, I think whoever they draft is going to get the 9 games.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe Marner needs one more year, but I mean, give him one more year in London, and he's gonna score a lot in the NHL.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
He's projected to be right up there.
But that's the other problem, too. I think Marner's stock may rise the closer we get to the draft, and that's a problem for the Devils when you look at the potential of maybe him going 4 or 5 instead of all of a sudden going 6, which is where the Devils are. Does anybody else think that? Because that's the feeling I get when I look at Marner. You look at a guy like Strome, and you're like, okay, but you could also make that kind of argument for Marner. And the worry I would have is that Strome Marner go back-to-back at 4-5.
I'm pretty sure Marner was the top scorer in the OHL that was not on Erie.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
He was. The other thing, though, is, yeah, I completely agree with you, Nick, on that. It all depends on Carolina.
Totally.
They have the 5th position, and they've been rumored to maybe want to trade down. So if a team that wants that 5th pick, it's probably a team that wants Marner.
Very much so.
If I'm the Devils, going back to your point with offering Tarasenko a contract, the money that's going to require Tarasenko is probably going to be really high.
4 first-round draft picks.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I don't think that they do that. I think there are a couple other options that might be considerable for the Devils. I mean, you can look at a guy like Brandon Saad is one, maybe even a Nazem Kadri, because Kadri, he's proven that he can score goals. He can be a goal scorer. He's just inconsistent. Maybe a change of scenery would help. I mean,
where are the
a
Devils
few other
playing
guys.
Kadri? I think it's a big thing as well. Kadri's a guy who should probably be on the third line, if not the second.
The
Yeah,
Devils
second.
don't need any more third-line players. They're full of third-line players.
That's kind of the feeling I get with Kadri. That's the only reason why the Devils need the step above Kadri.
They need a top 6. They honestly need 3 or 4 top 6s, but that's not attainable, I don't think.
No, it's not attainable, and you want to be able to go through the draft and do that. But like I said, there could be some wingers that come free at the deadline that maybe work out. Like a guy like St. Louis, you can plug it on your first line.
Yeah, but he's starting to show his age.
Yeah, but again, he is a guy that could come in for a year and do what you need him to do if you want to try to get better the next year and get to the playoffs. You're not going into full rebuild mode if you're New Jersey.
They're
so
not. I don't think the playoffs are reachable next year.
anything with Corey Schneider. Just remember, Carey Price and the Canadians played way better this year than they should have. They're now down 2-0.
They're showing it now.
But Carey Price carried that team.
Yeah.
But you want to win a cup. That's the end goal, and I get it. They definitely need scoring help. But I'm not really sure where else you're going to get that kind of prolific scorer if you're going to keep ending up, around the 6 or 7 spot in the draft the next 2 years.
If you brought in a guy like Soderberg and then a guy like Oshie, the layout of the team changes a lot.
100%.
They could go out and get Drew Stafford, too.
Stafford's a
Or
guy that
Chris
could be
Stewart.
available. Stewart's going to be a third-line winger wherever he goes.
Yeah, and like I said, the
Stafford,
Devils,
Yeah.
they're probably going to re-sign Bernier. They're probably going to re-sign Tutu. They're probably going to re-sign Gomez, which I'm all okay with. But we don't need more of those guys. We need someone that can go out and actually score goals. Getting Camilleri this season was a good step in the right direction too. You just don't want to see that. You just don't want to see his window close.
You're the New Jersey Devils. We're going to move on from this, but you're the New Jersey Devils. You have, if you have more of something than something else on your team, you'd say defense, right? You have
Right.
more. Okay. What's a team that needs defense and maybe willing to part with one of their younger wingers?
That's why I'm saying St. Louis.
I'm saying Edmonton.
Edmonton.
Edmonton could be somewhere where it works out best for both worlds, where you
Maybe.
don't have to give up a first-round draft pick, and you could give them a top defensive prospect, a guy like Severson, and then maybe a future draft pick in 2016, and then get a guy like Eberle or something along those lines, and all of a sudden now you have that top 3 guy that you wanted.
Right. I'm all for that.
So, Edmonton's going to have to make. We always talk. This might as well be the what will Edmonton do. I'm very curious because we're waiting to see. But that there's going to be calls to Edmonton to ask the price for some of their wingers, and Edmonton's also going to be looking for young defensemen that can come in and be future defensemen for the Edmonton Oilers.
And that's exactly what we have.
So that could be a move for the Devils. That would make a lot of sense, honestly, for both teams as well. Because if you took a guy like Eberle too, the Devils could take the cap. The Oilers, they have made some stupid contracts. They should be okay. But if they want to be able to take it, it's so intriguing. The NHL this year, because the cap is going up so little, is setting itself up to teams setting themselves up for cap relief. It's very interesting to see. Any final thoughts on that, Chris?
Yeah, it's just they just need. They're 2 or 3 guys away. Is that a fair statement?
I'd
yeah,
say.
no, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because the defense is there, the goaltending is there. You've got guys that have proven that A, they can score in Camilleri, B, they can put up points in Clarkson. You have a solid third line. I'm sorry, not Clarkson. Henrique.
Yeah, their priority obviously this offseason is to go out and acquire players that can score goals and put pucks to the net and make themselves more of an offensive team. I think that they've proven over the past many, many years that they're solid defensively. They just need to go out and get a top-notch offensive forward or offensive defenseman that will enhance their offensive play, because last year it was atrocious. This year they got to go out and make some sort of change, and I think that if Marner's there at 6, absolutely take him. And then after that, if he's not available, then there's still some other good options
Right. Now, for instance, if Marner is gone, do you think they go by way of like Barzell or Rantanen, or do you think they go
I could
with
see them
Krause?
selecting Krause. I mean, they could go Barzell. I think Barzell after Marner is probably the next best goal scorer. The thing about Lawson Krause is that he would actually fit the Devils because he's big. I mean, he's got good size. He goes to the net. He loves to play right in front of the net. I mean, he cashes in the loose rebounds. He crashes the net.
We basically saw that with David Clarkson. I mean, David Clarkson was playing with two superstars.
I don't think Lawson Krause is necessarily the next David Clarkson.
I'm not saying
for the
that
Devils.
he is.
Right.
He's more talented, I think, than Clarkson.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean,
But-
people compare his potential ability to a Rick Nash type of player.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't believe that. I don't think Krause is worth a top 10 pick. I'm not even sure I have him in my top 15. I think he's a player that's really overrated, and I think Rick Nash is like a super dream scenario.
Yeah, no, they said that his upside is one of the higher ones in this draft just because of his size.
Mm-hmm.
But his goal scoring wasn't impressive
He has a very low floor.
in Kingston.
That's the deal.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like him as a top 10 pick. I don't like taking players in the top 10 that have very low floors. That's not a top 10 pick to me. Like, the floor is this guy could be a fourth liner, which is a realistic expectation for Krause if his goal scoring doesn't pick up.
The thing about the Devils with their goal scoring mishaps is that if Mitch Marner's not available there and then they decide not to take Lawson Krause, I mean, you could go Matt Barzell. Besides that, I mean,
Brayton, where do you have the Devils right now in your current mocks?
well, they're sixth. They're going to be picking sixth.
No, what do you have them doing?
Oh, I have them taking Krause. I think Krause is going to be available. I think the only other team that will take Mitch Marner, the only other two teams are Toronto and Carolina, obviously. Carolina, I think they'd be the one to take Mitch Marner if he's available, just because of the fact that they could also use some goal scoring. But they have a player very similar in Mitch Marner in Jeff Skinner.
Right. So if you quickly just mocked it out, it would be obviously McDavid and then Eichel.
Yep.
And then do you have Hannafin third?
Hannafin going to the Coyotes.
And then who's four?
Dylan Strome. I got him going to Toronto.
And
Is
then,
there any chance that Hannafin doesn't go 3?
There's a chance. There's a chance. I think that if Hannafin doesn't go 3,
it'll be Strome.
He'll fall to Toronto, and probably Toronto would take Hannafin.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even say Strome goes 3. I think Mitch Marner goes number 3. Mitch Marner just is that pure goal scorer that any team would love to have. Granted, his size is not that great, but Marner's speed and his goal scoring ability is unlike anybody else after McDavid or Eichel.
I think if Strome found his way to 6, that's kind of a gift.
Oh, that would be a huge gift for the Devils.
Huge gift.
Yeah. If Strome falls down to 6, I would be absolutely surprised if he fell to 6, and I think the Devils would not pass up that opportunity.
I'll be content with this first round if they end up with either Marner, Barzell, or Strome, and I think one of those 3 has to happen.
You mentioned Rantanen earlier. Rantanen is interesting because he's a right winger. He's 6'4". He didn't really show anything to start the season. Then he went to juniors and was Finland's best player, arguably their best player at the World Juniors.
Yeah, he was.
And then the rest of the season, he played really good, showing his full potential. He's definitely going to be in Finland for at least another year, maybe. I mean, it's tough to say. I think that it's either Rantanen has got his contract that goes until next season, I believe. I'm looking that up right now, but Mikko Rantanen definitely. Hold on, give me a second here. Here we go. According to EliteProspects.com, Mikko Rantanen's contract with TPS in Finland goes till 2016-2017. So he's actually got 2 years left in Finland. Does he?
That doesn't surprise me.
That doesn't surprise me neither. But
it was the same thing with Joel Armia for Buffalo.
Yeah,
that's not.
He's probably. I think he's got to serve that time like Armia did when he was in the Army.
Yeah.
So Rantanen.
Right, that's not what the Devils need right now.
No.
So I don't think that Rantanen. I don't think that Rantanen is a good decision for the present. For the future, maybe, but definitely right now, I don't want.
I think
to do
Rantanen's
that.
a guy you pass on.
Yeah, I think you have to.
We were talking about this last week too, you and me, Chris, like last weekend, over the weekend. I think if you really want to look at Barzal, Marner's not there. Barzal, I don't know if he'll be like if he's gonna go like early top 10s. I think the Devils may want to look to trade down.
Yeah, we were actually looking at the Devils' draft history, and there's really not much because they were so good for so long, going to the playoffs every year. But obviously, they traded the 1 year for Schneider.
Yeah.
And they took Adam Larson. I'm pretty sure that was their only top 10 pick inside the last 15 years.
Yeah. But because Barzal to me seems like a guy who's probably gonna go late top 10, maybe like around 9 or 10. So you could trade to like 8 or 9 with one of the teams that has that pick.
Yeah, either get another pick
you'll get more assets to use, and then you could get Barzal.
I agree with that. I could see the Devils trading down too. They've got so much to do. I think they're in a pretty good spot right now by way of drafting.
The Devils would probably be I can see the Devils being the only top 10 team that even thinks about moving down to not only maybe acquire
Carolina.
An addition. Carolina might, yeah, but it's just tough to trade out of the top 5 as of late, especially with this draft. It's so tough to trade out of the top 5 unless the deal is really good.
I feel like the 5th overall pick is valued as like a 3rd overall pick
right
now.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, excluding McDavid and Eichel, I mean, you got Hanifin, Strome, Krause, Marner, even Ivan Provorov has jumped up.
Yeah.
He'll be available. I mean, I don't think the Devils need any more defense, do you?
No, if they went defense in the first round, it's gonna be a long few years.
By the way, congratulations to you, Chris, for your new writing gig.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm writing for Pucks and Pitchforks. It's on Fansided. Pucks and Pitchforks. Pitchforks.com for Fansided.
Let's give a big round of applause. You all right there?
Thanks.
Oh, boy.
We're going to take a short break here. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the IIHF World Championship here on 91.3 FM WBNY. .3 FM WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative since 1982, brought to you by the Buffalo State College Student Activity Fee. I'm Nick Lippa, Braden Wilson here with me, Chris Kowalchuk, and Frank Arcuri. The first half hour of the show, we talked about new management in New Jersey, what the Devils are going to do heading towards the draft, and we'll probably be talking about them more only because they're in the top 10 of the draft, and they're in a very interesting position heading forward, and, well, that may affect on what the Sabres do in certain situations in the draft as far as players getting traded, just because, again, there's so much activity that could happen. Again, the cap is only going up $1 million. Is that correct? It's only going up $1 million?
Yes.
It's only going up $1 million. So teams that are in cap trouble, Boston and Chicago, a lot of players could be on the move, and the Players and Devils are both teams that could be buying in those situations. So it'll be very interesting to see. That being said, the IIHF World Championships underway right now. United States face Russia and beat Russia to go to 3-0 on the year thus far. It's funny, you're looking at this American team, and let's all be honest, how does the team look on paper?
Yeah, I think Frank just hit it right on the nose. I don't think there's words to describe this USA team. But somehow they're still 3-0.
Yeah. Well, here's bad team buster number 1. Brock Nelson is on the team.
Yeah.
Brock Nelson for MVP.
Check me if I'm wrong here,
double
Lippa,
HF.
but I'm pretty sure we had him shoot in for the Hart in, what was it, September
Yeah.
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 before the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he won it. Good for Brock Nelson. Good for Brock Nelson.
Brock Nelson won in the NHL, and Seth Curry won in the NBA.
So, but you look at it as well. Mark Arcabello, if this doesn't help him land on a team permanently, I don't know what else he can do. I really don't. Every chance he's had basically since January, he's made the best of, and he's produced wherever he's been, really. What does Mark Arcabello have to do to find a home? Mark Arcabello got the game-winning goal, the third goal of the game, which USA ended up winning 4-2. And he is on the first line for the United States. So how do you feel if you're Mark Arcabello? It's going to be a weird time Like, he reminds me of the kind of guy you're just like, why is Chris Jury on the team? Because he's Chris Jury. Why is Mark Arcabello on the team? Because he's Mark Arcabello.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I don't know. I mean, if I'm correct, I think Mark Arcabello is an unrestricted free agent too this offseason. So, yeah, so he'll probably either re-sign with Arizona or go to another new team.
Chris, I'm looking
Which
at
is
you.
exciting.
Can you
Yeah.
get Mark Arcabello a devil?
I don't think so.
He doesn't. Nobody wants Mark Arcabello.
That's just not what the Devils need.
What? Winning?
Because Arizona, he worked out so well with Arizona.
Hey, man.
did.
He's the reason why they finished second last.
Mark Arcabello is actually a restricted free agent.
Ooh. I know what contract I'm going to offer. Match this, Arizona. that being said, oh my
Okay.
God. Yeah, okay, I guess I will. But yeah,
Find that hard to believe.
there's a couple of big stories for USA in this game, one of which is Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell, who played very poorly this year for Texas, although talking to and reading a lot of forums from Dallas and a lot of the media down in Dallas, there's a big kind of idea down there going around that the goalie coach needs to be fired. Has been absolutely horrible in Dallas. One of the comparisons I read was that Jack Campbell is very much like Henrik Lundqvist before he got his goalie coach he currently has in New York. And that's one of the comparisons that was made. And you talk about Campbell, who's arguably the best goalie prospect in the world. One of them. Is that fair to say?
I wouldn't say one of the
Not
best
right
goalies.
now.
No,
but,
not
but he,
now.
But he was
I mean, he was highly talented.
top
and
5 goalie prospect in the NHL.
Probably, yeah.
So, and if not, if you're talking about him at the beginning of this year, that we did say at the beginning of the year, we said one of the best in the world as far as goalie prospects are considered.
And then he loses his job in Texas to UC Rhinus.
And a lot of people believe that there's a coaching problem going on right now. A lot of people. And remember, Texas doesn't have the same head coach from last year. He's off coaching where, Brayton?
Vancouver.
So you're looking at that right now. It's very interesting. Campbell didn't play the best, but he played good enough and very interesting. He's played very aggressive. He's a very aggressive goalie. Reminds you of Turco a little bit, how much he comes out and plays the puck. Anybody else have any comments on Campbell? Because I'll move on if nobody else does.
No, I mean, I think that Jack Campbell still has a lot to prove, especially he could prove something in this World Championships if he gets more starts. I mean, Connor Hellebuck, the other goalie for Team USA, in the first 2 games played really well. He's a Winnipeg Jets goaltender prospect. If Jack Campbell can stay in the nets and get another game or 2, I think that he's got everything to prove here. I think he's got to go out there for sure and try and tell people, hey, I'm still relevant in not only in the world but in this league in the NHL. So I think that he'll get another chance. I really do. It's just this year was just a really rough year for him. He just couldn't find his game. He was not playing particularly well in Texas at all. And I mean, even the stats really just kind of, it didn't even look like he was doing that bad. He was 14-14-5 on the year. He had a 907 goals against, and then 303 goals against and 907 save percentage. The goals against really is a killer there, but I mean, even the year before that, it was in Texas. I mean, he had a 1.49 goals against average and was 12-2-2.
Let me put it in perspective. Texas got swept in the playoffs, and Campbell didn't start any of those games.
No, he came in relief of one of those games.
Yeah. So, looking at it realistically, I think Campbell has to get a new goalie coach. I agree with a lot of the Stars
Or a new
fans.
team.
Or a new team. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. If you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, you're like, hey, is Jack Campbell at a cheap price right now? The problem is Jim Nils isn't an idiot, and he knows the value. And I think if they know that, then I think the goalie coach may be counting his days in Dallas if there's certain problems that are continued there.
I mean, goaltending play is like a major reason they missed the playoffs this year.
A huge reason.
Jack Campbell is a restricted free agent this season.
Their top 6 and their scoring is so high powered and potent that they just needed a goaltender and maybe one more defenseman.
If you're talking about the Dallas Stars right now, you wanted Jack Campbell to come up to the NHL this year. You wanted him to be a backup to Lettinen, but it hasn't happened. And there's a reason, okay? He is the top goalie prospect. It wasn't going away. He had production at that level. He's already produced at that level. Why is he regressing? There's something wrong there. And
Can you just be in the AHL for too long? Is that just like a thing?
I don't know. I really don't know what to really say about it besides the fact that, to me, it's got to come down to goal. We had different coaches in place. Last year, you have a coach. Yeah, they win in the AHL. This year, you have a coach. They get swept in the first round with arguably one of the best prospect pools for the AHL. And that included having guys like Dickinson come up from the OHL. You're shaking your head right now. And you're like, wow, these guys had 9 or 10 players scratched.
Yeah.
A night.
Mm-hmm.
You had the cream of the crop to pick from. It wasn't like, all right, Reinhardt's up here for 3 games. We finally got him from the OHL. It's like we got all of our OHL guys coming up. No, that's like next year, 2 years from now for the Sabres. Dallas is there now, and he did not do a very good job. I'm calling out the coaching staff for Texas right there.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say that next year they better find a newer option for goaltending coach. I don't think they're firing Lindy Ruff. I mean, if they were going to fire
that would have happened
Ruff,
already.
That
would have happened, especially with the Babcock-Nil potential connection as well.
Yeah.
That would have. I almost can guarantee that they're not going to fire Lindy Ruff.
No, absolutely not. No, but I mean, their goaltending coach situation, yeah, that might want to change. That, and something has to happen there because this.
How much do you sign Campbell for?
You got to offer the contract, and I don't know.
It's tough.
I mean,
are you going to offer him like $1 million? If you're a team, would you offer Campbell $2 million a year?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, you see,
Maybe over 2 years.
yeah. I mean, maybe over 2 years.
You offer him a $2 million a year bridge deal?
$1 million. Yeah,
$1 million.
give him a chance. Maybe you start him out maybe in the AHL.
This is what I'm saying. He's an RFA. You're a team looking for a goalie. He's a guy who showed flashes that he could be really good in this league. Imagine if he was on a team like the Anaheim Ducks this year. A team that just scores so much, it doesn't matter what you're doing in net behind because that team can carry you. A guy like Gibson can come into potentially the best possible environment to work, really. Think about that for a second. What if he goes that he's one of those kinds of players, a Gibson-type player? That's the kind of production Campbell could potentially give a team in the future. I think everybody knows that he's very good. I think that he's going to be a starting goalie in the NHL. I think he has the potential to be a very good starting goalie in the NHL. So if I'm the Dallas Stars and I realize that Lettinen may not be my starting goalie 2 years from now, and I'm thinking who's it going to be, I better make sure I get my crap together. And for me, I got to figure out what went wrong, and what most likely went wrong is your goaltending coach. And this is the last thing I'm going to say about Campbell. Campbell's won 3 gold medals and 1 bronze medal in world championship competition in his career. He's 18-6, a 1.61 goals against, and a 940 save percentage in international tournaments. So, I don't know. Jack Campbell, I like him. I think he's a great goalie, and I hope Dallas fires their goalie coach so he has a chance to actually progress instead of regress. But that being said, let's talk about Jack Eichel, man. Eichel getting it done. Brady, you want to give a little summary on Jack Eichel in this game?
Yeah, he had a good game. He had an assist. He had the second most minutes played for a forward against Team Russia, and Team Russia is loaded. They are stacked. And again, as we said, USA is just kind of meh. So, yeah, I mean, I'd definitely give, props to Eichel in this tournament.
That being said, you can call him mad, but only 17 shots from Russia on the day,
which is amazing.
USA's doing something right. That's why when you say something like that, usually you're like, okay, maybe the goalie stood on his head. You're like, no, not actually. USA just played better hockey. And one of the things that was noticeable in the game from multiple people and multiple sources, Jack Eichel looked really fast on the ice with the other competition. He looked really fast. He got an assist, and that was after winning a faceoff against Malkin. I mean, it was literally a checklist of things that make me feel better about myself. And it was like, can compete against a superstar? Check. Can score on that? Check. Has speed. There. Check. All those kind of things. And goals will come at some point because his shot's already good. You're not worried about that.
Well, you look at the United States roster. He's playing on the top power play unit with some of the better guys in the league. I was watching some of the highlights, and I saw the 1 goal scored by Torrey Krug. He was on the ice for that goal. And when they all were in the group to celebrate afterwards, they kind of pulled out, and I'm looking at Eichel, and I'm thinking, he just looks like a player who fits in the NHL already. I mean, again, we've seen it and we've heard it from a lot of different people. 6'2", he's got the size of an NHL player. He's got the physicality of an NHL player. I mean, how can this kid not leave Boston College to come to the NHL next year? I mean, it's beyond me. I don't think he's going back to Boston University. If I were him, I'd not go back. But I mean, yeah, he just looks NHL ready. He looks ready to go. He had a fantastic year in Boston and won. I mean, he won the Hobey Baker as a freshman. There's no way. There's almost no way he has to go. That he's going back to college.
Again, if you're in 10th grade, the coach says, I need you to start at quarterback for the varsity team this year, and you're in 10th grade, you don't turn to coach and go, hey, coach, I'm sorry, but I got to go win a championship for the JV team. It doesn't work like that. It's very rare something like that will happen. Yeah, he's a guy who's ready for it. It's not about like, oh, he's just not ready for it. He clearly is. You see him playing at this level of competition right now and already getting it done and playing well. He is ready for it. And again, he looks the speed. He's 18 and he's doing this already. That's so scary. That's really scary. The question is, for that I have for everybody else, you see him playing like this. How close is he to Connor McDavid? We ask this question every week, but how much closer do you think he is to Connor McDavid than you think
this tournament? I think this tournament is opening up a ton of people's eyes. There's no question. I tweeted this earlier. I tweeted that the gap between the two are not, as we've said before, they're not as close as everybody. They're not as far as everybody thinks. I think it's super close. I'm not even kidding. I mean, there is a chance that Jack Eichel may somehow still go over Connor McDavid. I don't think it's going to happen. I think if I was Peter Chiarelli and the Oilers, I would still take Connor McDavid. But the fact is that this kid is proving right now, hey, I can keep up, I can play, I can compete against guys that are 28 years old, 30 years old. I can play against them. I can keep up with them. I can be better than them. I think that's saying something as an 18-year-old playing for Team USA. I mean, Russia, they've got Evgeny Malkin, they've got Vladimir Tarasenko, Ilya Kovalchuk. Jack Eichel was playing against those guys today and schooled Evgeny Malkin. There's no doubt about this. I mean, the kid is definitely going to need a little bit more time maybe to transition to the NHL game because, the double IHF ranks, the World Championship ranks are a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But still, the fact is that give him some time on NHL rank, maybe 10 games. I just think that he's going to be ready. I think he's ready to go.
The question I have for you guys is, again, you see him doing this with this team on USA. Can you imagine him playing like on a power play unit with Ristolainen, Evander Kane, Tyler Ennis?
Oh, I'll tell you what. Tyler Ennis looks awesome for Team Canada. He's playing on a line with Claude Giroux and Tyler Seguin. My God. This kid can play really, really well.
He is apparently
with good talent.
He's apparently a leader, too. As for the Sabres view him as basically a guy who could potentially be their captain in the future.
I mean, geez, you put Tyler Ennis on line with Jack Eichel and Evander Kane next year. I'm totally signing up for that. Absolutely signing up for it.
Kind of reminds you what maybe the Tampa Bay Lightning have. Maybe that could develop into something what the Lightning have on their first line.
Oh yeah.
That's what it reminds you of. They have some serious offensive firepower. So Eichel's really getting it done. He has been playing very well. And he looks the part. The thing that stands out about Eichel as well is that he just consistently gets better and better. Like there's no doubt about it. He just gets better, better, and better, and better. So there's no doubt in my mind Eichel is going to be a terrific player in the NHL. The real question is, is he playing good enough to get some people to think potentially, maybe the Oilers will think about Eichel? That's not going to happen. They're going to go McDavid. There is almost no 99.9% chance that McDavid is taken. That's the chance that McDavid will be taken. There's a 0.1% chance Eichel could go, but
I think those odds are a little lower than that. I mean, I would put it.
When you got Gretzky coming out, and
I
saying,
know,
McDavid
I know that Wayne Gretzky said that McDavid's the next coming of him, but I mean, still, the fact is that everybody's just overreacting to the whole thing where it's like, oh, well, Connor McDavid is better than Jack Eichel. Granted, yes, McDavid is carrying that team, the Otters, to the OHL championships, And he's literally just doing it almost entirely by himself. Nick Baptiste, Buffalo Sabres prospect, has had a great series.
Oh,
Don't
great.
get me
20
wrong.
points?
Oh, yeah.
In, what, 11 games or something?
Yeah, it's unreal. It's unreal. Everybody's saying, though, it's just, oh, well, McDavid's clearly the number one. It's like, I mean, I get that he's got that super talent, but he hasn't played against players like Jack Eichel's doing right now. That's the thing. That's what I am watching Jack Eichel thinking. McDavid hasn't gotten to this stage yet. I don't know how he's going to be. Again, and I've said in the past, it's like give McDavid like 20 games. Give him 20 games and he'll probably pick up his pace, pick up the level of play, and he'll probably play better than he has, or he'll probably play at an NHL level. But the fact is, Jack Eichel's doing it right now, which is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And Peter Chiarelli, I mean, he was general manager in Boston. I'm sure he saw Jack Eichel play more than Connor McDavid did. I don't know what Peter Chiarelli's thinking. I mean, we're never going to know what a general manager is thinking.
It's a long way to the draft. We're under 2 months to go till the draft, so we'll see where that goes.
Just imagine, though, if Austin Matthews was in this draft as well.
It'd be insane.
He was 1 day away from being in this year's draft. He was born 1 day after the deadline.
I think you'd see a lot of people trying to trade up to potentially get a guy like Noah Hannafin at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Austin Matthews had a fantastic under-18 tournament with the United States. In the 7 games he played, he had 8 goals and 7 assists.
That's absurd.
It's ridiculous. He's 17 years old. He's a right winger, 6'2", 194 pounds. He might take... I mean, I think next year, if I read this correctly somewhere, next season he could be playing with the University of Denver in college, going a similar route that Jack Eichel did. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but there's reports that he's going to go to college for the 1 year like Eichel did, and then probably enter the draft and go from there.
Maybe Eichel's starting a trend.
Yeah, he might be. I mean, Austin Matthews and Jack Eichel are the next faces of USA Hockey, and Austin Matthews looks phenomenal. He has got a very good shot, and he's a right winger too. So, his primary position is right wing, but he can play center too. But I mean, the fact is that if Austin Matthews was in this draft, 1, 2, and 3 would just be astronomical,
revolutionary.
Yeah,
best draft maybe of all time, as far as prospects are concerned.
Oh my God, absolutely.
But that being said, he's going to be in next year's draft. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to finish talking up about this, but we're going to talk about playoff hockey. The Rangers and Capitals playing currently 0-0. We're going to talk about, does Montreal have a chance to get back in the series? Did the Flames have a chance to even win one game? And what's going on with the Minnesota Wild? Next here on Neutral Ice.
This is Neutral Ice.
By day, he's a house pet. When the sun goes down, it's time to hit the streets.
Nick Lippa
Is a cat burglar.
Buffalo's best hockey show every Monday night.
Neighbors like 5-year-old
Joe DiBiase,
know him by his alias.
Brayton Wilson,
Neighbors are on guard, but his victims don't intend to file police reports. They go to
Chris Kowalchuk, and Derek Kramer.
In the past 3 years, they figure he's stolen about 600 items, and he's not choosy. He'll take anything that's not locked down. He especially likes bathing suits drying outside. He stole
Franca Curies.
Bikini Bottom.
Now, here are your hosts, Nick Lippa and Jack Sullivan.
It's getting dark now. The question is, which house? It's a perfect night for a heist.
On Buffalo's original alternative, 91.3 FM, WBNY.
91.3 FM, WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative since 1982, brought to you by the Buffalo State College Student Activity Fee. Playoff hockey, just to give you a recap what we've been talking about. New Jersey Devils, a new GM. Chris, who's that new GM?
I'm blanking. Ray. I don't even remember.
Klepto, the cat.
Thank you very much.
You could just say it.
Ray Shiro, guys. Come on.
My bad.
You're a Devils fan, man.
Yeah.
You write for a Devils hockey page.
It's still fresh, though. It's weird.
He's the Penguins' old GM.
Yeah, I know. It's just weird.
That's how stable the New Jersey Devils organization has been over the years.
Yeah, we've had the same guy for 25 years.
28 years.
28 years.
I'm not even a Devils fan. I'm a Sabres fan, man.
Yeah, but yeah. That was bad. I was kind of just like zoned out for the break, and then yeah.
Took Chris Kowalczyk off guard there. We talked about the World Championship and USA playing much better than expected. Jack Eichel looking the part, even looking more. Mark Arcabello, game-winning goal. Can we give it for Mark Arcabello, Brand? Let's give it for Mark. Mark Arcabello, the greatest player ever to play USA hockey.
I find that hard to believe.
I don't find that hard to believe whatsoever. That man is a diamond in the rough. If the rough was like Pebble Beach and he was Tiger Woods. That's him. That's Mark Arcabello. He's the Tiger Woods of Pebble Beach.
I find that hard to believe.
The question really is he Tiger Woods from the past or Tiger Woods of now?
Tiger Woods broke up with his girlfriend.
What? No, was it Lindsey Vonn?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's kind of a maniac. I don't know who's losing in that relationship. Probably Tiger. Probably Tiger.
Yeah, probably Tiger. Tiger's not getting any younger.
I like he needs more sympathy. Dude's like a multi-millionaire. That being said,
Probably had a golf course in his backyard.
that would not surprise me. That being said, let's talk playoff hockey, guys. What to you in the second round right now has been the most fun series to watch?
It's got to be the Rangers Capitals. We're watching it right now, and I'm a Devils fan, so like I have rooting interest in the series, but like you like short your breath every time something happens. It's great.
Chris, you mind giving us an update on the score so far?
0-0 right now, 7.5 minutes to go in the first period. It's still 1-1 in the series, obviously. Ovechkin had a chance on the power play before, and the Johansson couldn't get the puck through the first time, and he had backdoor wide open, and Lundqvist made a great save.
And they just showed some guy on NBC Sports with smoking a cigar, throwing pucks on the ice in pregame warmups. Yeah. That's great.
There's no smoking allowed in the building, so
that's
he'll
what
be
I
fine
want
later.
That's what I want my life to be.
That's not true.
No, that's true.
It's by far the most entertaining right now series because the other series, guys, they're kind of already like, wow. I mean, the Ducks and Flames. Does anybody think that the Flames will actually win a game?
No.
They look terrible.
The way they've been playing.
They
They just can't keep up with the Ducks. They're overpowering them physically, and they are shutting them down defensively with their speed. Shutting down Calgary's speed defensively.
Lipa, do you think we underestimated the Ducks or just overestimated the teams that they're playing?
No, I think right now it's everything that personally I've talked about Calgary, how poor puck possession they have been all year, that they kind of got gifted a first round opportunity to go further because Vancouver was also one of the worst teams in the playoffs. And I think you're seeing that whoever was going to win that series between the Ducks and Winnipeg was going to win this series, probably in the fashion of what the Ducks are right now. Calgary may be able to steal one from the Ducks, but besides that, I mean, the Ducks are they're flat out better than them. The Ducks are a good team. The problem is they aren't impressively good, which right now smells like Western Conference Finals loss to me because Chicago and Minnesota, both those teams I think could handle the Ducks. That being said, Minnesota, they got to win. They got to win tomorrow, or else they're done. They cannot handle the star power very much of Chicago. You guys want to talk about that?
They're one of the best home teams in the NHL, especially in the playoffs this year. I doubt that they will lose tomorrow. I mean, they gotta try and throw more pucks to the net. I mean, Chicago's doing a really good job of shutting them down defensively and not allowing for them to get too many chances. But Minnesota, they just got to find a way to get pucks to the net and create some more chances. And I think that, we've seen Corey Crawford do it before. Once there's more chances thrown towards the net, he's going to give up juicy rebounds. It's going to be tough for him to stop these pucks if Minnesota plays like they do or like they did last series and even for the last 25, 30 games of the year.
You look at this team and you go, they are just having trouble stopping guys like Kane. They can't. Taze, the star.
Even Duncan Keith is 10 points.
The Blackhawks can't be shut down from their star perspective, and I think that's the problem the Wild are having. The Wild, a team that has a remarkable amount of depth, but they really need to be able defensively to stop those star players from being productive on the offensive end. And you're right; they have to put more pucks towards the net. So let me get a roundabout right now. Currently, who thinks the Wild are going to win Game 3?
I do.
Yeah.
I actually don't. I think that Chicago is going to win this in 5. I think that they win Game 3, lose Game 4, and win Game 5.
I think the Wild will tie the series up 2-2.
I think they're going to tie the series up too, but they need to do a better job because if Chicago wins one of these games, you could basically kiss the series goodbye. Chicago
Having to win 2 in Chicago is like a death sentence.
Basically, but I'm going to take Chicago in 6. I think Minnesota's going to win Game 3. And I think they're just going to go back and forth pretty much.
I think the Capitals have lost, I think the stat is 8 straight now in Chicago during the playoffs, dating back to, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So this is the 3rd straight year the Blackhawks and Wild have met up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is quite awesome, by the way.
But the Wild can't seem to get past them.
Nope.
So it's looking like that right now. I think the Blackhawks are going to win this too. And just looking at the team, I have a question for you guys as well. Let's talk about Minnesota because there's a certain goalie on that team that's up for Vezina talks as well as a contract. How much are you going to pay Dubnyk?
So humongous big.
Yeah, how much do you pay him, guys? Like, Braden, how much do you pay this guy?
He's going to get a big contract for sure with the way he's played this year.
But how much do you pay him?
4.5, 5 million.
That's what I was thinking. That's my I think my max is like 5.
Yeah, it's just I'm looking at it right now. I have a question. Is Dubnyk great right now because he is Dubnyk and Dubnyk is great, or is he a product really of his defense, and will this be his best year out of the next 5 years?
We've seen Dubnyk be great this season, especially. We've seen flashes of him being potentially great when he was in Edmonton. Last season was just a tire fire for him. He was traded by Edmonton, then he got traded to Montreal, didn't make the Montreal roster, was sent to Hamilton, and then the Coyotes gave him a chance. Sean Burke completely turned around his game, played better than Mike Smith early on in the season, got traded to Minnesota, and now he's a Vezina candidate. I think this is just a product of someone got a hold of Devan Dubnyk, really brought out the best of him, and now he's playing really well, and he's carrying that momentum into Minnesota. Now, will Minnesota re-sign him? I think that they want to re-sign him. But, I mean, Devan Dubnyk, if he hits the free agent market, some team's going to probably overpay for him.
Ryan Miller got $6 million this year.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, but, I mean...
I'm not trying to take anything away from Dubnyk, but Ryan Miller kind of comes with the name and the allure of Ryan Miller.
Ryan Miller's proven. He's a proven talent. That's the thing, is that he's a proven goalie in the NHL. Dubnyk, only until this year, really has just started to show himself like, okay, I can be a proven goalie in the NHL. And next year, if he continues this play and is nominated for Vezina again, then I think everybody will say, okay, Devan Dubnyk can actually be a starting goalie in the NHL.
I think I'm in the same spot as you, Brayton. I think that he can be good, and I think that he's good right now. I think he needs to show himself one more year.
The reason I ask this is because if you look at the Minnesota Wild, they were killing it with Darcy Kemper at the beginning of the year, and Kemper looked like a Vezina candidate at the beginning of the year. The common denominator is the Wild's defense in this scenario. Now, I don't want to take too much away from Dubnyk because he's played a terrific year. The only question I'm really asking is, and the one I really want to know the answer to, is this going to be Dubnyk's best year, and is he playing better than he actually is?
I think that's a safe assumption. I don't know if he's this good. With the Wild defense, he's this good.
Well, just imagine if Dubnyk, let's hypothetically say that
we've seen Dubnyk without Minnesota's defense.
Yeah, they had Arizona's defense, and he was actually playing pretty good for an Arizona defense that's really not good. And then he comes to Minnesota and plays lights out. Just imagine next year if he manages to hit the free agent market and Tim Murray was able to pull off signing Devan Dubnyk with our defensive core that we have right now and are going to have for years to come. Devan Dubnyk's probably going to play maybe just as good as he was in Minnesota. That's my opinion at least, but
I could see that.
I could see it, absolutely.
Buffalo doesn't have a Ryan Suter.
No. They're hoping a guy like Rasmus Ristolainen can turn into a player like Ryan Suter, but Rasmus Ristolainen is more of a He's not a minutes muncher like.
No.
I mean, Zach Bogosian is probably the biggest minute muncher for the Buffalo Sabres.
Yes. Yeah, that is Bogosian. That's what he does. That's the kind of player I think the Sabres really wanted to get on defense that they didn't have, and that's why that Myers trade, I think more people in retrospect are going to look and they're going to go, wow, that pays off in that aspect as well, the add to the team. But that's the big question going on right now. You know, you're down 2-0. If the Wild lose in 5 games to the Blackhawks, you know, is there a if the Wild come back and beat the Blackhawks in this series, / the opposite, the Wild lose in 5 games to the Blackhawks, what's the difference in pay for a guy like a guy like Dubnyk?
I don't think there's much of a difference.
Really?
No, because honestly, it's not all Dubnyk's fault that they're down 2-0. It's more just because Chicago is just that much of a better team. Just overall, Chicago and their depth on offense and their depth on defense, it's enough to stymie this Wild offense. And the Wild defensively too, they just can't stop Taves, Kane, Sharp, Hossa. They just can't stop them.
Can anybody guess what Devin Dubnyk was signed for by the Coyotes this offseason?
$800,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say 900,000.
Yeah, 800,000. Lipa had it right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lip is probably looking at the numbers.
I mean, this was a year to
That would have
be
been really quick.
Yeah, this was a year that Devin Dubnyk had to prove something in order to be in the NHL. Because honestly, when I heard about the signing that Arizona made, I'm thinking, why would they do that? But now I know why, because Dubnyk, I mean, he's turned himself around with Sean Burke as his goalie coach. Then he was traded to Minnesota, carried that over. If he can keep carrying those lessons that he learned from Sean Burke, how could Devin Dubnyk not be a good goaltender in this league? I mean, he's 6'5". He's got the build to be a good goaltender. His style of game is good. I think that he's gonna probably get $5 million during this offseason, which is a just huge upgrade from $800,000. I mean, yeah. Heck, if I were the Sabres and he gets to free agency, I'd offer him a contract. Maybe not $5 million, but I'd probably offer him a contract if I'd be in that pool.
You're not going to be able to get Dubnyk. I think he's going to be worth $5 million in free agency this year, and I think it could be like a 4-year deal.
Oh yeah, I think it's about 4 years, $16 million, like you said.
Yeah,
I think Minnesota doesn't let him go. I think he's going to be re-signed by Minnesota because their goaltending situation this year was atrocious. Before Devin Dubnyk came in, Darcy Kemper will probably back him up because Nicholas Backstrom. I want to say Nick Backstrom has one more year with Minnesota, and then he's a free agent.
Yeah, and he's already up there in age.
Yeah,
very much so. But we'll see. I'm interested. Tomorrow night, Chicago versus Minnesota, and then Anaheim at Calgary. I don't think Calgary's got a chance.
Nick Backstrom has a salary cap hit of $3.416 million, and he is an unrestricted free agent next season.
So that being said, Chicago on top in a very good position against Minnesota. We talked about the Ducks on top of the Flames, the Canadiens, and the Lightning. The Canadiens, like we've said multiple times, a bad team for puck possession. What are the Canadiens going to do to get back in this series? What can they do? They're on the road, and they're down 2-0.
Stay disciplined.
Stay disciplined is right up there. Brandon Prust, I have no words to describe Brandon Prust's play.
Calm down.
He needs to calm down. He needs to stop his antics because Brandon Prust has proven in the past he can be a contributor to the team instead of being just an agitator that gets under everybody's skin. I mean, he's done it with the Rangers. Yeah. He did it with Montreal last season. He's just got to stop this crap with Ben Bishop. It seems like every game he's running into Ben Bishop intentionally like 2 or 3 times, and he's getting called. You're going to get called if you run into the goaltender no matter what. He needs to stop running into him intentionally.
And then calling out the ref doesn't help.
Yeah, no, and he actually might get fined or suspended for saying what he said. It's unacceptable.
I personally think Montreal's done. I think we had it right saying that they aren't as good as the record shows. They're a huge byproduct of Carey Price. That outside of Subban and a couple of the forwards, they're not, and maybe Petrie, they're really not that good.
No, they're not. They really aren't.
They're really average.
Especially in this series, they just can't keep up. I mean, game 1 was a really good game. Don't get me wrong. But the last night's game for game 2, they just looked outmatched, they just couldn't keep up with the speed of the Lightning. Tampa Bay has got a stranglehold on the series now heading back to Montreal. Or not Montreal, Tampa Bay. You know what I meant.
Back to Tampa, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You knew what I meant. But, yeah, like you said, Chris, they're done. Montreal's done. I don't see them winning a game I don't see them winning 2 games in Tampa tying the series. I can see them winning maybe 1, but definitely not 2.
Tampa Bay is good. Here's the deal with Tampa. Ben Bishop is inconsistent. Tampa has some young players on that team. They're getting into, I guess you want to quote-unquote call it playoff form, to a team we're going to see compete in the East year after year right now. So you see the inconsistency as in like, okay, the first game's very competitive, but then you see Tampa, what they could do when they're firing on all cylinders.
Especially when you give them a
scored.
chance. Yeah, especially when Stamkos finally got his first goal of the playoffs, and then you just give Tampa a chance.
Oh, they get to the power
capitalize.
play. Here's the dangerous thing about Tampa. They got to the power play and they executed every time. That's the scary part. I mean, you're talking about the Canadians may bench Carey Price for one of these 2 games now as well. I mean,
Tyler Johnson has 8 goals. He's got 10 points already.
When the Tampa Bay Lightning are firing on all cylinders, they are, in my opinion, the best team in the Eastern Conference when they're firing on all cylinders. The problem is, I think the New York Rangers are a more consistent team. That's the difference. I still think the Rangers are going to pull out, but we'll talk about that Capital Series. That's a whole different topic. But the Lightning are just too good. I mean, this is a team that's owned the Canadians. Funny, thinking about a year back from now, they got swept by the Canadians.
Because they had Anders Lindback in net, and Lindback didn't have Artur Zerbe under his belt.
No, we did not.
Or Artur Zerbe didn't have Lindback under his belt. Whatever.
I know what you mean.
However you want to say it.
Absolutely. You're looking at this team right now. They're chock full of scoring power. When Ben Bishop is just above average, just generally above average, that team is going to win most games.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
So, what do we got right now looking at it from today? What are you looking at for that Lightning Canadian series? I have the Lightning sweeping.
I have the Lightning winning in 5. I mean, I get your point, though, because the Canadians have not been able to crack the Lightning all year.
No.
Since last year. They were swept in the season series in 5 games, and they're down 2-0 right now, heading back to Tampa Bay. Montreal's got to figure it out, and they got to figure it out fast, or else they're done. And I do want to bring up something else that I thought was just absolute garbage today. TSN 1050 in Toronto, Leaves Lunch, they call the show. They were talking about how if Mike Babcock could go to the Canadians, would it be a problem if he didn't speak French? Because he can't speak French. And the first thing I thought was, why are you even talking about Mike Babcock going to the Canadians? Michel Therrien is a pretty good coach against everybody except for Tampa Bay this year. Why? I don't understand why the Canadians would even think about firing Michel Therrien, but that's a different story. So
Yeah, because he can't beat Tampa, apparently.
yeah, apparently.
But neither can Mike Babcock.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, almost.
Then again, Detroit's team as a majority, I think, is better than the Canadians' team, minus goaltending. You know what? You're telling me right now that you're taking Datsuk, Nyquist, the forwards on that team. You're going to take Montreal. Montreal literally has Subban and Petrie. They could shuffle out on the defensive side.
But I mean, Tampa Bay is actually getting contribution from all 4 lines on offense, where Detroit was getting top 2 lines.
I'm making a comparison between the Red Wings and Canadians.
Oh,
the Red
right,
Wings
yeah,
and the Lightning.
okay. I don't know why.
No, I've got you. I may have said that in a confusing manner. No, I'm talking about that. That's what I'm saying. Is the Red Wings really, I think, are a better team built right now for the future comparative to the Canadians. The Canadians have a guy like Pacioretty, Subban, and they have Petrie right now. Who
they also got Galchenyuk too.
Galchenyuk, yeah.
Gallagher.
But you look at
Gallagher.
But I mean, again, but Nyquist, right off the bat, you're like, okay, that's the best. That's the best player out of all the players.
Tomas
we just
Tatar,
named.
you got for the Red Wings.
Nyquist.
You still got Datsuk. You still got Zetterberg.
Yeah.
Detroit's got some talented players there.
Yeah.
They just had goaltending. Could you imagine Carey Price on Detroit?
Oh,
I'm done.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
So I mean, that's the difference. That's what we're talking about right now. But that puts into perspective the Canadians, really.
I'll tell you what. Speaking of the Canadians, if I am Tim Murray, I'm asking the Canadians if they want to make a trade, possibly for a player like Zach Fucale.
Why is that? Please explain that.
Because Zach Fucale is playing phenomenal this year. He got a gold medal with Team Canada at the World Junior Championships. He's carrying Quebec to the QMJHL Championships, which they're already the host nation. So
they're already.
Yeah,
in the
Rimouski's going to
tournament.
play irregardless, even if they lose to Quebec in that championship. And they got Carey Price. Zach Fucale is not going to just want to sit behind Carey Price and want to back him up or even play in the AHL. Especially for a team like Buffalo, they've got some assets that they could use to go out and acquire a player like Zach Fucale. And heck, you can, if Montreal wants a first-round pick in return for Zach Fucale, you got that second first-round pick there. So if you want your goalie of the future, that's an option. I'll make that argument right now. If there's a goalie that the Buffalo Sabres could go out and acquire via trade or anything like that, I'd go with Zach Fucale. I really would. He's only 20 years old. He has been phenomenal, not only for Quebec in the Q, but also for Team Canada in the Worlds. Why not? Why not just ask about it? Why not just bring it up? Maybe something will happen.
The goalie situation, it looked so bleak 4 months ago, and now you look at it and you're just like, wow, there's a lot of guys that could potentially be NHL goalies that are coming in, this new wave, as well as the fact of guys who are current NHL goalies that could be on the move. Again, I said it last week, I said it 2 weeks ago, I'll say it this week, goalies are going to fly. It's a matter of time. There's too many 3 goalie situations. There's too many 2 goalie situations where there's a cap hit. There's too much of that going on right now for there not to be goalies to be on the move. Something's got to give, and if it doesn't happen right at the free agency / draft period, it's going to happen by the trade deadline next year. I'm very interested to see where everybody goes. It's going to be a lot of shuffling going on pending with, again, the $1 million cap increase. That helps nobody who is near the cap this year. Nobody at all, and it really benefits teams again like the Sabres and the Devils and the Coyotes, teams like that can afford to take on your bad contracts for prospects and draft picks and such. So, that being said, a lot of good. The Lightning right now, however, are saying things like, we don't have this in the bag yet. We don't have the Canadiens' number. We don't have any of that right now. The Lightning say, this is a really good team, and I think that's something to be taken note of. That being said, I got a question for you guys right now. Are we going to see a lot more scoring from Stamkos?
If you're a Lightning fan, you obviously hope that opens the floodgate. It wouldn't surprise me. He's such a great talent that he could score whenever he wants, and hopefully he found it last night. It was a beautiful goal. He needs to just continue to go to the net, and good things are to come for him.
That goal definitely woke up Steven Stamkos. It's not like he wasn't getting any chances, but after he scored, he was fired up. He's the captain of that team. He definitely gave that team some momentum when he finally scored. I think that was a huge reason why the Tampa Bay Lightning just completely dominated over the Canadiens.
A little surprising that they got out of the first round without Stamkos scoring, no?
I think that's why I went to 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If Stamkos was scoring and being the player that he was against Detroit, I think that series would have been over much sooner than it was. I agree.
All right, we're going to take a short break here. When we come back, we're going to talk a lot about the Capitals-Rangers really competitive series next up on Neutral Ice. 91.3 FM WBNY Buffalo, Buffalo's original alternative since 1982, brought to you by the Buffalo State College Student Activity Fee. Oh, keep the good times rolling with some playoff hockey, guys. Again, kind of depressing. Blackhawks destroying the Wild, Ducks destroying the Flames, Lightning destroying the Canadiens. You're kind of like, man, I expected so much from the second round of series. We thought the Blackhawks-Wild series is going to be more competitive, which it still could be as we head to Minnesota, but it's not looking good for the Ducks-Flames or the Canadiens-Lightning series at all. So that leads us to the last series, which by far is the series to watch right now in the playoffs. Rangers and Capitals. The Rangers, a lot of us have going to the Cup. I do. Do you, Brayton?
Yep. Yes, I do.
And then Frank, do you?
I had the Lightning.
And who do you have, Chris?
Tampa.
You have Tampa, so they're split late. But you have the Rangers moving to the next round, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you're looking at that, the Rangers are a very, very good team here, but they're
But-
being tested.
If my bracket's wrong, meaning the Rangers don't win a cup, I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah. They are absolutely. Both these teams right now are playing well. I'm surprised at how well the Capitals have come along since the beginning of that Islanders series. You looked at the beginning of the Islanders series, and the Capitals looked like a team that were kind of dead in the water at times.
I kind of saw this a couple years ago when the Devils were playing Florida. The year they went to the Stanley Cup, they started really slow, and then they hit they snuck out of Florida, lost game 1, and they played terribly, and then they turned it on from there. So, it happens. The first round, there's always jitters.
There is always jitters, but I mean they have been holy cow. The Capitals. Holtby has been terrific these playoff series. If Holtby didn't prove it in the regular season, you want to talk about one of the best combined efforts from regular season and playoff series. They talk about Dubnyk getting in that Vezina consideration. In all honesty, in my opinion, while Dubnyk played very well last year, I think Holtby should have been the third finalist in the Vezina control, and I think watching him in the playoffs kind of makes that point. He's been terrific, and he's a huge reason why the Capitals are where they are right now in the playoffs. I think that's the biggest difference. You talk about the teams that Ovechkin's been on. What if the Capitals missed with an Ovechkin team? I don't think they've really had a goalie that's played like Holtby has been. If the Capitals can beat the Rangers, that's going to make it a very interesting Eastern Conference Finals. Holtby could be the key to this team getting to the Stanley Cup.
He easily could be.
I agree. He's been a huge part. He's played very well. He's kept Washington in games that they probably shouldn't be in. But then again, Alex Ovechkin has been a monster.
It takes two to tango.
Yes, it
and
does.
Ovechkin has been monstrous. Arguably the MVP of the season.
That goal that he scored the other night was, my God, that was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Falling down to his knees and just, I'm just going to throw it on net. Oh, it went in the net. Sweet. Almost, I mean, he almost makes it look too easy.
And it's on Lundqvist, too.
My favorite part of this series so far isn't an actual play. After Ovechkin scored the goal in Game 1, he just skated by Lundqvist and just like, Henrik, it's going to be all series. This is just what it's going to be. That was my favorite part of the series so far, just because of my hatred for Henrik Lundqvist.
You are a true Devils fan, Chris Kowalchuk.
I mean,
I didn't know the GM's name before, but I remember it now.
What's the GM's name, Chris?
Ray Sharrow.
Got it going on now.
Yeah, I'll have an article about that up tomorrow morning.
Oh,
Nice.
man. Klepto the cat. We're talking about it right now, the Washington Capitals New York Rangers series. The keys for winning this series is tied 1-1.
Heart and grit. It's got to be, right?
The game right now is 0-0 in the second period. What do the Capitals have to do to come out of this series on top? What do the Rangers have to do? What are the keys to the series for these teams? Let's start with the Capitals.
well, first off, Holtby's got to be a monster.
Which, again, he's 11 for 11 on saves so far in Game 3.
Yeah. I think especially defensively, Washington's just got to be a lot smarter with what they do. I say that because their Alzner just took a delay game penalty. That's what it looks like.
That was terrible.
Yeah, delay game penalty right there. Just saw the replay. But yeah, Holtby's got to be good. Obviously, Ovechkin's got to be Ovechkin, and the depth just has to be there. Like Kuznetsov, he won Game 7 for.
Well, Kuznetsov's leading the team in scoring right now. Me and Frank were talking about this during the break. For the playoffs. At least.
Yeah, because Ovechkin, he was kind of quiet, a bit quiet against the Islanders. Why? Because a guy like Johnny Boychuk is going to be all over him, and the Rangers are going to do the same thing with Ryan McDonough and Dan Girardi against Ovechkin too, and he still scored 2 goals on him, and
He's so good.
he's so good. And then a guy like Kuznetsov, I'm expecting the Rangers that they're going to be putting Mark Stahl against him and their second line right there. But I mean, after that, Washington, they got a lot of grit after that.
Grit.
And that
Grit is such a great word.
yeah, they got grit. They got grit, and even a couple of guys who could score. And that could be the difference, because when I look at the Rangers' depth, I like it. It's solid.
I think the Rangers are way deeper than Washington.
I agree.
Yeah,
Me too.
I just like Washington. I just like personally. I like Washington's scoring just a little bit better. I think they're very close.
If Zuccarello was healthy, does that
If
change
Zuccarello
anything?
was healthy, this is a different series.
I don't. Zuccarello's your 5th best scorer.
Yes, but he's your
best scorer.
He's another one of those guys who who can just turn it on when it matters. And he's another one of those guys who he's very smart, and he gets under the skin. And he'd be a forward that I could see Alain Vigneault putting up against a guy like Ovechkin. Just get to him.
Matt Zuccarello is 5'8", but don't underestimate his
Yeah.
game. He's very fast. He's very smart. He's very physical with the puck. He protects the puck very well for a guy of his size.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a huge reason why he got extended right before
And
the trade deadline.
They're substituting Jasper Fast, or however you pronounce his name.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that it's a difference, but how big of a difference is Fast and Zuccarello actually?
Great question.
Yeah. I think it's more just the style of games that they play.
Right.
I consider Jesper Fast more of that defensive guy, more of that top nine. Top nine, probably his ceiling is probably around playing the third line, probably playing penalty kill. Whereas Zuccarello, he's a guy who you can put in your top 6 and be a guy who.
Fast is still
act.
very young.
Yeah, he is still very young. But I think Zuccarello would have a more bigger difference to the Rangers.
If you're talking about like Rangers keys, it's obviously the number one thing you have to do is shut down Ovi. If you don't shut down Ovi, this series could get
Series
out of
is
hand.
over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Look
And-
at the Blackhawks of the Wild series. Star
Exactly.
power can beat you if you let it.
And you're right with like Patrick. Obviously, Patrick Kane, Taves, so much star power in Chicago. Yeah, but here, if you don't shut down Ovi, this series is. You hate to say it's over because the Rangers are such a good team, but he could easily win the series almost by himself.
I think the difference between Jesper Fast and Matt Zuccarello is that Zuccarello is more of an all-around
Right.
player.
And Zuccarello's got a lot more playoff experience.
Oh, yeah.
Big
time.
Yeah.
Big time. Jesper Fast, he just doesn't have that defensive side that Zuccarello has. You can put Zuccarello out in the penalty kill, and he's a good penalty killer. He's a good guy to fit on the power play. He's a good guy you could just put in any situation, and he's going to contribute. Jesper Fast, he hasn't proven anything yet that he can be like Zuccarello, but, I mean, the potential's there. He is a restricted free agent at the end of this season. Maybe... I don't know. I mean, it's too tell with Jesper Fast. I mean, this year he did play in 58 games, 6 goals, 8 assists. So I think he'll get retained by the Rangers. That is, if their cap is going to be fair with them. If not, he could be available to any team, or if nobody signs him, he could just go back to Sweden.
Also very true. So the Capitals.
Wait, real quick. You said Zuccarello can go back to Sweden?
No,
Fast.
Fast.
I was about to say. I think Zuccarello's here to stay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
no.
he's
yeah,
staying.
he re-signed that nice deal.
Yeah.
So you're looking at it right now. And this is a team, we're talking about the Capitals in high regards, but the key really is Holtby and Ovechkin. If you let Ovechkin beat you, the series will end pretty fast, but that's got to coincide as well with Holtby playing a solid game,
Right.
which Holtby has done the entire playoffs. So there's no reason right now to think Holtby's all of a sudden just going to start letting in a lot more shots than he previously has. He hasn't showed that side.
Lipa, can I ask you something?
Absolutely.
What do you think? Do you think Holtby is the difference between this year's Capitals teams and Caps teams in the past?
100%. I also think Barry Trotz has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
Right.
Barry Trotz has a
You have to
huge
take that into
impact.
consideration. But you talk about, I think, because when you talk about it right now, Holtby came together this season.
'Cause
Why did he come together this season? The defense has improved, which I think helped Holtby get his game together as well. I think as a team, they got together, and now they're in a very good place.
Because if you remember over the last few years, they've lost series to teams like Montreal and even like the Rangers a couple years ago, maybe series that they actually should have won. But I guess the goaltending wasn't just there, or the coaching wasn't just there.
I think it's a little bit of both. You know, you win as a team and you lose as a team. That's as true as it gets. I just want to point out something. The dude's boasting a 940 plus save percentage in the playoffs. I mean, God,
that's absurd.
It is absurd.
So humongous big.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is,
is.
Braden. It is so humongous big.
Thanks, Briz.
You look at it right now. Holtby is playing very well. He's playing just as good, if not better, as Lundqvist on the other side. Both goalies playing very well, making this the most entertaining series in the second round of the playoffs. This is a guy who, coming into this year, almost laughable, like, yeah, okay, let's see if he can actually be a starter. And Holtby came in and he was like, I'm not just a starter. I'm going to be one of the best in the NHL. And that's how he played. And by the way, just like Dubnyk got rode by the Wild, everybody forgets, Holtby started did he start the most games in the NHL this year for the Capitals? He was in the top 3, I know for a fact.
71, I want to say it was.
I think that's I think that's the most of the
lot.
I think that's the most of the NHL this year.
Yeah.
71 starts. You want to talk about, we talked about Dubnyk getting ridden by the Wild.
73 starts.
That's insane. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
He sat out 9 games for the Capitals. Holtby played back-to-back games for the Capitals in some games. That's ridiculous. Absolutely nuts. So, you look at this team. You look at what Holtby's done for the Capitals. The difference between the Capitals last year and this year, Ovechkin's back on track, but a lot of that's because Trott has helped improve the defense, and Holtby is the difference between them being out of the playoffs in the first round and competing with the Rangers in this series. If the Capitals go up 2-1 on the Rangers, and we got a goal, who was it, Brayton?
Jay Beagle.
Yes.
Ooh.
We're behind, and the face-off is in the cap zone right now, so I got a little nervous there.
Wow.
To answer everybody's question, Braden Holtby did play the most games this year at 73. Right behind him, anybody want to take a guess?
Was it Schneider?
Pecorine.
No.
Hold
Wow,
on.
that
No,
was a-
Rene got injured.
Oh,
That was
that's
a,
right.
that was a nice banking
hold
goal
on,
by
hold
Beagle.
on. I'm gonna guess this. Ooh.
You already saw it, Nick.
Rebound.
No, I didn't see
Oh,
it.
you didn't see it?
Oh,
Okay.
there it is. Wow.
Was it
saw it.
is it Carey Price?
No.
Ooh. I'm gonna keep guessing here. It's not.
Is it Eastern or Western?
Western.
Okay.
I can't tell you right now. I'm not
Is
sure.
it Quick?
Yes. Quick.
Yeah.
Quick had 72. Tuukka Rask had 70. Corey Schneider, 69. Carey Price, 66.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, how
And
about
Jay Beagle with a
Where was
banking
Fleury, by
goal.
the way? Marc-Andre Fleury.
Marc-Andre Fleury, let's see,
He must have been up there,
was
too.
64.
Yeah, he must have been up there too. I was just thinking.
64, and Marc-Andre Fleury was tied for, or actually had the most shutouts in the league with 10.
Yep.
And look where that ended up landing him out of the first round in 5 games.
Yeah,
that
they
was
gotta-
not his fault.
Still not his
No,
fault.
he played. They lost every single game in that series was 2-1.
Marc-Andre Fleury played the best season of his NHL career this year.
Yeah. Went right off the end.
Look at the stats that backs it up. You look at the stats this year for Marc-Andre Fleury that backs it up. He was absolutely terrific. Absolutely terrific. So, yeah, the Penguins with Chris Letang and another defender, that Rangers first round series is much more entertaining. And if Letang's healthy, the Penguins probably aren't even facing the Rangers in that first round series. So, very interesting. But Capitals go up 1-0 there in the second period on the New York Rangers. Talking about how the Capitals have gotten back to being a potential cup contending team. I mean, how many years has it been since the Caps were contending for a cup?
Since Kolzig was there.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, since 98.
Yeah.
They had a cup run with Ovechkin once. They made the Eastern Conference Finals once.
No, they didn't. Nope, they haven't.
Or was it?
They lost in, I think it was 2009 to Crosby and the Penguins. That was in the
okay.
semifinals.
Sorry, I thought that was
That was the
That's
closest
probably
they've
the
come.
closest. Yeah.
That's NBC Sports' wet dream.
So, I guess so. We're cutting it close there. But yeah.
Yeah, but if the Penguins can't get out of the first round, that's not going to happen ever again.
No.
Nope.
We'll see though.
It'll be fun to watch Steven Stamkos play against Ovechkin, though.
Oh,
That would be fun.
that'd be great.
I think either series you're going to see the Lightning. I think pretty much we're all in agreement here. The Canadians are not going to win the series against the Lightning.
It would be hard to believe.
It would be thoroughly shocking. I just have to say, I'm excited to see where this goes. The Eastern Conference is up in the air right now. Lightning, Rangers, Caps. Who could it be now? I just at one of these points, you think with the player of Ovechkin's caliber, eventually he's just got to get a cup at some point because of how good he is. And this feels like the year right now. If they can get by the Rangers, I'm liking the Caps going all the way. Is that bold? That's a bold statement, but I'm saying it.
There's a lot of people that have said the Capitals are going to go to the Cup this year.
They got to get by the Rangers.
They got to get by the Rangers, and then they got to get by the Lightning. That's tough.
They're gonna.
That's tough with the way the Lightning are playing right now, especially after their 7-game series with Detroit. I mean, Game 1 they looked better than they did in any game against Detroit. I think Game 2 it was just.
I just think the Canadiens
completely
are
in their favor.
I just don't think the Canadiens are a good team. I know. I think they're a mediocre team with an amazing goaltender.
Yeah.
And that's why they are where they are. And the stats back that up as far as puck possession is concerned. Like we've said a million times. That's why you read your advanced statistics, kids. It's not going to beat your eye, but it kind of does sometimes. That's why they're there, to correct your eye when your eye sees something that doesn't. And that's what it shows. So
the stat room.
Got to watch the film, guys. So Rangers, Capitals. What are the Rangers? We've talked a lot about the Caps. What do the Rangers have to do in this scenario to really keep everything on track as far as doing what they've done? What do the Rangers specifically have to do? Question for you guys. Rick Nash, 1 goal in 7 games. Are you looking at Rick Nash right now similar to a Steven Stamkos situation for Tampa where Rick Nash is going to score and it's going to ignite this team?
It could.
You hope.
You would hope.
That
yes.
was not the confident answer I think Ranger fans were hoping for.
Well,
I mean,
it just seems
maybe.
like I mean, Nash is such a good goal scorer. It's just how can he just not translate that into the playoffs? And you just see it. We've just seen it way too much since he's joined.
I think they need scoring from everybody else on the team.
Well,
it's not just
just
Nash.
Nash.
You need guys like Derek Stepan to score, Derek Brassard to score. You need contribution from just more than one guy. And we've seen it this year with Tampa Bay. We're getting contributions not only from Tyler Johnson, but everybody else is helping contribute. You look at a team like Anaheim, they're a complete team this year. That's why they're just so dominant right now. Their team is just so complete. It's not just one player that's carrying this team. And I think that's a huge difference. If the Rangers could get some more scoring, just not from Rick Nash, or just get somebody helping them out besides Henrik Lundqvist having to stand on his head, then, then New York's going to be able to pull this series out. But, they got to figure something out real quick right here. Because if they go down 2-1 and then maybe even 3-1 after the 2 games in Washington, they're in trouble.
That being said, out of the teams, it's not like New York hasn't been in that kind of position before.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Last year,
they were down 3-1 to Pittsburgh.
But it really took Lundqvist standing on his head. The difference is Lundqvist wasn't facing a goalie that was playing better than him. That's the scary part. Hope he's really good.
Yeah, Hope he's been playing fantastic.
So very interesting to see where it's going to go as we get close to the end of the show. Does anybody have any really final thoughts right now on the playoff series, where we are right now in the NHL playoffs and moving towards the future? I mean, we've stated a couple of key things so far in the show to wrap some things up. New Jersey Devils with the new GM. That's going to be very interesting to see where the Devils move in the future. They hire Pittsburgh Penguins former GM Chris, what's his name?
Ray Sharrow.
There you go, Ray Sharrow. And then we have so the next question is, who are they going to hire as a head coach? Could we see Bilsma coming in? Scott Sterling.
Do you think Ken Hitchcock is
he could be gone from St. Louis?
Potential
from St. Louis, yeah.
So there's a lot of questions. Mike Babcock will not be coaching the New Jersey Devils. That's the only thing I can say for certain. If that happened, I'm pretty sure everyone would be confused. But you would be really happy.
Yeah,
you would be happy.
I don't remember if we said this on air or not. I was talking to Joe about it. Do you think Datsuk is going to follow Babcock?
No, God, please, no, no, no.
Please.
What if it's
please go on with that opinion, Brayton.
No, God, please, no, no.
That's my favorite thing. The Office is so great.
Oh man, The Office,
I said.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, so we talked about the New Jersey Devils, the World Championship, USA 3-0, beating Russia today. Jack Eichel looking very good. Mark Arcabello being the greatest player in the United States history of World Championships. He had a game-winning goal today. Go Mark Arcabello, go. We need to make a song for Mark Arcabello. That's all there is to it. You know what? Can we play the Brock Nelson song for today? He scored today.
I got to pull it up.
He's leading
Give me
Team
a
USA
second.
in points.
Brock Nelson's the way to go. He is the Sultan of SWAT if there was a Sultan of SWAT of hockey. That's him. He's like, they're going to build the new Coliseum, and it's going to be the Coliseum Brock Nelson built.
They're gonna make a pond hockey version of the Sandlot and do the same scene, just talking about Brock Nelson.
I think it is. It's going to be. I think they should just name the Coliseum. They should name it the Full Nelson Arena.
I just came up with a great idea for a movie.
What's that?
The pond hockey thing. The name.
I just came up with a great idea for a movie. It's literally the plot of Sandlot, but with pond hockey.
Yes, it would be excellent.
All right,
The puck.
Brock Nelson for the Heart. We'll talk more about this after
The puck
the
sinks
song.
into the water.
Here is Brock Nelson for the Heart by the cast of Neutralize.
Charles Wong holds high places. Dick Gods know his job. Went on to draft the prodigy. Brock Nelson for the heart. Yeah, Brock Nelson for the heart.
Tavares and Okposo, each must know his part. Get the puck to Nelson. Brock Nelson for the heart. Brock Nelson for the heart.
Crosby and Ovechkin know how to handle the puck, but they are no comparison. Brock Nelson for the heart. Brock Nelson for the heart.
He scores! Brock Nelson, his first National Hockey League goal!
Ups in front. Grabbed by Nelson. Nelson moving well into the Dallas zone with a slump shot. He scores! Beautiful play by Brock Nelson. Elias comes over.
Just how good is Brock Nelson? I'll tell you how good he is. He's like the hot sauce in my New England clam chowder. He is the best. To acquire Brock Nelson, I would have to give up Patrice Bergeron, Zdeno Chara, and 5 first-round picks.
All the fans are in awe when he's walking down the hall. Need Nelson for destiny. He only plays his part. Brock Nelson for the heart. Brock Nelson for the heart. Brock Nelson for the heart. Brock Nelson, 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 Brock Nelson for the heart. You're gorgeous.
Oh, well, thank you.
If you had ovaries, I'd ask you out on a date.
Oh.
That's not true!
That is true! I don't know who said that, but Brayden is a wonderful person.
Garbage!
That is wrong. He is a sensitive boy who has a certain amount of self-esteem you will not ruin. Thank you very much, good sir.
Oh my God, I don't care!
Yeah? Well, maybe you should care, because it's people like you in this world that make it worse for people like him.
Stop!
Yeah, that's right. Now take that one back to your cave and cry a little bit more. And that's why nobody will hold you at night for the rest of your life until you change who you are. Yeah, that's the sound you'll make for a long period of time. Brayton's a beautiful man. 91.3 FM, WBNY Buffalo, Buffalo's original alternative since 1982. Brought to you by the Buffalo State College Student Activity Fee. Oh, man. Sometimes you just have too much fun. I got to be honest, everybody in the audience. I'm super sick right now, but that cheered me up like a whole ton. It's been a good past 2 days for me. It's been a very good past 2 days, even though I've been super sick. But, man, the people in my life make it worth it, man. You guys are awesome.
I'm sick. I want to throw up.
Yeah. Oh, man. I love it. It's been super fun. Playoff hockey. I'm just so excited as we come down to wind down the show. Brock Nelson getting it done, though. How could we have predicted that? Like, Brock Nelson's on the world team for North America right now, and he's scoring goals and getting it done for Team America, and they're first place right now in their division. How does that happen?
Harry Snaps.
Yes.
Ty Domi.
Domi.
Darren Poopa.
Oh, man. I was just about to get it out of my mouth. I couldn't get the poop out of my mouth.
Klepto the cat.
Klepto the cat. Sometimes
New general manager for the New Jersey Devils.
Klepto the cat.
The cat.
Klepto the cat is there. Oh, man. Well, it's been good times so far.
It is
here
night,
on-
so everybody just beware. It's a perfect situation.
We're gonna end,
Oh
we
my
are going to end the show with that, just so people can hear it. But our intro, well, we will be back next week. Again, we're gonna be farther. Some series may be over.
Well, wait. So are we continuing over the summer? I mean, some of us.
Yes,
obviously
thank you
will
for
be
putting that out. So here at 91.3 FM WBNY Buffalo, we go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Neutral Ice will be on over the summer. We'll be covering off-season. We'll be talking about prospects. We'll be talking about what the Sabres are doing, especially leading up to we will be covering the NHL draft here.
Yeah.
So that'll be a lot of fun and very interesting, especially because, again, you look at some of the players that the Sabres have in their prospect system right now. Guy like Nicholas Baptiste. I mean, something that we have to talk about on future shows. Do you deal Baptiste right now? He's playing out of his mind, and he's a guy who could yield more value right at this moment than maybe at any other point in his career. If you're talking about unloading a prospect, he may be the guy to do it.
I could see them trading Justin Bailey more than Nick Baptiste. But
who's more valuable to teams right now?
probably Nick Baptiste.
And that's my point. I think he's at an all-time high for value playing on a team with Connor McDavid and Dylan Strome.
I wouldn't even think about trading neither of those guys, though. I want to see how they play in junior, or not in juniors, but in the AHL in their first year of professional hockey. See if they can keep up with it. And we'll see what happens. Oh, by the way, I believe, Frank, didn't you show me something from about Detroit Red Wings prospect? Anthony Mantha?
Yeah, there was a big thing
This is
about
interesting.
Mantha that Detroit's actually was very disappointed in how he played this year, and that now there's they may look to trade him in the summer.
Interesting. A guy that they said they were not going to move at the beginning of the year and apparently did not progress.
Which I don't really get, because his first year, it was his first professional year, and he played 62 games for Grand Rapids and had 33 points, which for a 20-year-old playing in your first year in professional hockey, it's not that bad. I know, and they're still playing in the playoffs right now, and he's got just 1 point in 5 games. So that's still a bit up in the air kind of thing. But I don't know why they would be very disappointed with him unless it's something like internally, like in the locker room kind of thing.
Yeah.
One of Red Wings executive Jim Devellano, this is what he had to say about Anthony Mantha's first year in the minors. Very, very, very disappointing. And I say that with a lot of sadness. Coming out of junior, we had such high hopes for him.
Wow.
That's
Do you think
that's
they could
alarming.
do you think they could be baiting teams?
Maybe.
Why would you say that, though?
Right. Oh, that's true.
Why would you come out and say he's terrible?
62
Do
games
you want
for
him?
the AHL this year. He had 15 goals, and he has 1 assist in 5 playoff games.
Like, this is going to be one of those deals where now it's going to be Detroit. I mean, after saying that, teams are going to be like, well, I don't want to give you too much for him.
Yeah.
And Detroit's going to be like, well, what if he turns out to be this good? And you're going to be like, well, obviously you don't think he is going to be this good because you just asked us about how much, like, getting something for him. So I think Detroit, from a man, it makes no sense to me to come out and bash their player in the open like that.
especially their top prospect.
Yeah, I don't get it from a media perspective, for a PR perspective. Why would you do that? Just for me, that hurts value on a player that clearly held some higher value a team could have gotten. So confusing for Detroit, and they may be without a coach very soon.
Yeah.
So we'll see
Yeah.
as the coaching carousel takes place. A lot of This offseason has just begun. It had only just begun.
It really hasn't begun yet.
So it has, because the draft lottery took place.
Yeah.
That's when it really started, because now teams know where they're drafting specifically. So now everybody has an idea getting towards the end of the year where it's going to happen. It has begun. I mean, there's a new GM in New Jersey. We have coaches meeting places. Shirelli's in Edmonton. It has only just begun, and it's going to get so much crazier. And we're going to give you all the information here on Neutralized 91.3 FM WBNY. And that's going to about do it for our show. Any final thoughts or parting words?
Welcome Ray Sherrow to the New Jersey Devils.
Klepto, the cat.
Yeah, same thing.
Frank's good. Brayton's good. I'm good. So
Go
we're
Caps,
gonna
go.
we're go Caps go. We're gonna end the show with that wonderful intro that we had. On behalf of me, Nick Lippa, Brayton Wilson, Chris Kowalchuk, and Frank Arcuri, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week at 8 p.m. here on 91.3 FM WBNY.